Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Stats That Exist But Do Not Matter. It is episode 86. It is brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook, and today we're not talking about the players, we're not talking about the fans, we're not even talking about the coaches, we're talking about the most important people on the baseball field, said nobody. The umpires. Everybody loves the umpires, and no one ever has a gripe. We recently just had an umpire call the first ever perfect game by umpire scorecards, and that was in the World Series on the biggest stage, so why not do a full 5 minutes on the people that matter most on the baseball field in terms of getting calls right.
3-2 pitch. Outside ball, fork off, right through.
During the 2022 season, there were 76 full-time MLB umpires. Congrats to those guys, especially the 14 that were called up from the minor leagues. You always hear about the prospects that are getting called up, never the umpires, so good for those guys. The oldest umpire in the league this year, Larry Vanover, 67 years old. If I can still call pitches at 67, I would just probably retire, honestly, before my sight goes. Phil Cuzzy, he's a close second, but he's a few days younger. The youngest umpire, Nick Lentz, 33 years old. I was hoping we'd see a 20-year-old umpire maybe in the future. The average age for an MLB umpire, can anybody guess? 48.3 years old. So we constantly see umpires get into it with coaches and players and ejections, but a lot of them have never experienced playing on the field. But umps who play ball, 36-year-old umpire Ryan Addition, big math guy, I think. I'm just making an assumption. He's been in the big league since 2017. He pitched for the Kalamazoo Kings of the Frontier League before pursuing officiating. Maybe he got so fed up with poor calls that ruined his career that he decided to become an umpire. I'm just making up narratives here. Bill Dineen is the only MLB umpire who also pitched a no-hitter. Dineen was behind home plate for 5 no-hitters between 1910 and 1923, and he threw his for the Boston Red Sox in 1905. Can we pull up some game footage? No, we can't, because it's 100 years old. That was a trick. It's not too common anymore, but a number of umpires were once players in the league. The most recent to do this was Bill Kunkel. Great last name. Maybe the best name I've read in the history of Stats That Exist But Do Not Matter. He was a reliever with the Kansas City Athletics in 1961 and 1962. Okay, but who owns the most games among active umps? We know it's not Joe West anymore because he's busy being a podcast star. Good for him. It belongs to none other than fan favorite Angel Hernandez with 3,655 games. Are you kidding me? Tom Hallion and Jerry Lane not too far behind. We all love Angel for obvious reasons.
Angel Hernandez looking at him. What do you want? Now, there's no reason for that at all.
Now, we've seen a lot of family lineage in the game recently, but what about family lineage behind the plate? There have been 5 father-son umpire pairs in the MLB. We got Henry and Gerald Crawford way back in the 50s, and then most recently, we got Edward, Paul, and Brian Runge in the 1970s, only family to have 3 generations of umpires in the MLB. And we've also got umpire brothers as well, John Hirschbeck and Mark Hirschbeck, as well as Tim Welke and Bill Welke. I almost said Bim Welke because it rhymed, and that's just how my brain works right now. Players during the offseason, they usually take that time to rest and be with their families, but umpires, they have other interests. Sometimes they get other jobs, including the Reverend Dr. Ted Barrett, who has a doctorate in theology. How about that? And how about this? This one's my favorite. Larry Vanover, one of the oldest umpires in the MLB, he likes to raise and train Labrador Retrievers during the offseason. How about that? I love that. That made me like him a lot more. The most fascinating one by academic standards has to be Dan Bellino, who's better known for his affection for Madison Bumgarner's hands. Remember that? That was so weird. He did a semester at Oxford, and he has a law degree and passed the Illinois bar exam. And his cornerstone law school research paper examined the Major League Umpire Union and the 1999 umpire strike. So how about that? Pretty cool. Maybe lay off the hand fixation, though. We don't need any more of that. And the last one I'm going to tell you about today is a guy named Sean Barber. He's been working in MLB as a call-up umpire since 2014. He used to work at a pet store in high school. He was bitten by an eel through the bone of his right hand near his thumb, and he was unable to write, so he turned his attention to umpiring and enrolled at the Harry Wendelstedt Umpire School, and now he is an umpire call-up. That's pretty impressive. The only thing more exciting than a basketball game or a baseball game or watching an umpire do his thing is betting on that game. And thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook, today's video sponsor, sports betting has never been more fun. You guys know the deal by now. All new customers, if you sign up using promo code JOHNBOY and bet $5 on any pregame moneyline wager, you'll receive an additional $200 in free bets if your bet cashes. Plus, with same-game parlays, you can combine multiple bets from the same game to give yourself a shot at even bigger winnings all season long. And don't forget that football season is in full swing as well, and DraftKings has tons of way for you to get in on the action. So, New customers, $5 bet on any pregame moneyline wager and receive an additional $200 in free bets if that bet cashes. Promo code JOHNBOY. Download their app today, the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. It's incredibly easy to use. I highly recommend it. And thank you to them for sponsoring today's episode of Stats That Exist But Do Not Matter. That's the call. We'll see you guys next time.
Votto's been thrown out of the game.